one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jordan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Boom! That's exactly it.
Do that. Let's do that.
Boom! You know, I never quite that last one with the boom. You know, Victor Antonio's on there, and if you check him out, I go boom, and he goes like, "That's what I'm
Exactly.
talking about."
That's exactly it. And you notice who else was on that reel?
Oh yeah, well,
Our guest
PT.
today.
That's right. We have we had any duplicates yet? We've been doing this for like 2 years, 2.5 years. Have we?
You know, it's crazy. I don't think.
He's our first rerun. What do you think of that?
What could be? I wouldn't say rerun. I would say the return. It's like, you know, movie sequels, right? Most of the time, movie sequels, they suck. Like the original, everybody's like, oh, the original. But The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh,
The Empire Strikes Back. So we should have named today's show.
That's
The Empire
exactly
Strikes Back.
right. You see,
because
this is a brainstorming.
This is why we need to be planned. Yeah, we got to plan these things, Dan. We got. I mean, is this a show or is this a show? Let's start. We're going to start today.
Okay, we're going to start today. All right, big news today, Chris Stone.
Okay, let's hear it, man.
Oh my gosh. You ever have those nights that just far beyond, you're like the best sleep of your life, where you just wake up and you're like, I am awake. Like, this really worked really well. And I realized what my challenge was. My challenge was, in the middle of the night, I'm getting nudged all night because apparently I snore. And so I discovered something. I discovered if you put specialized, like, surgical tape on your mouth like this, but you can't just put it on your mouth, because then you'll breathe through it. Yeah, I used to use duct tape, but I found good stuff here. And you put your lips like this, and you put it on there, and it forces you to breathe through your nose. And not only do you not snore, but the byproduct is it calms you down and you sleep better. I don't know, it's crazy, but it is a perfect correlation to sales, because I learned something from our next guest, that when dealing with big people and with big sales, you need to learn to shut up and let your customer talk. And that totally transformed my life. That's why it's so good to bring on the expert, a person who needs no introduction, but will have many crazy names for himself. Please help me welcome my friend, Mr. Patrick Tinney.
Woo!
Good day, gentlemen. How are you?
So
I'm feeling very strong today.
Where the heck are you now?
Very strong.
Well, I live now. Well, first of all, I painted my office peach in honor of Atlanta.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
you know, I did this like 5 minutes before we came on air.
There's like there's how many Chris Stone, how many like peach trees are there in
57 Peachtree Streets in the city of Atlanta?
I lived on Peachtree Street in Toronto, Peachtree Path.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
Patrick, every show we find a less of a degree of separation between all of us. We have come so close together.
Yeah,
it's amazing. The wonder of live streaming.
It is, you know, and 24 Peachtree Path. I moved my office. I've got a new office. I decided to move to sort of the center of what I call the sales universe. So I used to think it was Toronto, and then I moved 2.5 hours northeast, And then I thought, don't stop, man. Like, go straight up to an area called Bancroft, and I'm in a new enclave. Enclave, love you. It's called Cardiff, and Cardiff is a great town. What a
Wow.
place. Yeah,
So
I love it here. I love it. The people are amazing.
basically, an old folks community. Is that what you've done? An active.
What were you saying?
Yeah, having a senior moment. So
No.
Cardiff doesn't have the ring that Buckhorn did.
Yeah,
it really doesn't.
Come on. Hey.
Here's the thing. We got. Hey, is Garen still on here? Somebody was talking early. Garen.
Yeah, Garen Bilani is in the house. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what he does is he has just like a box. He sets up like a studio in a box. So you could be in some obscure place like Atlanta, Georgia, and people would think that you're in Cardiff, the mecca of sales activity, wherever you are in your old folks community. If you had that little.
By the way, this isn't gray hair; it's Norwegian blonde. Okay. Like Dan, if I want yellow hair like yours, I just paint it like you do. Okay.
It's in yellow hair. My wife still mocks me because I'm gray as can be.
Nah, that isn't gray.
So,
this is Norwegian blonde.
So for those of you who are looking for hair color in your local CVS or on Amazon, find Norwegian blonde in the Just for Men section. Yeah. And speaking of Just for Men, Jeff, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining in the party.
We do.
He wants to know if peaches grow in Ontario.
Southern Ontario, peach tree capital of Niagara. As a matter of fact, we used to have a peach queen.
Let me tell you.
Don't go there. Okay.
All right. I never dated her. This is a family show.
Yeah. Okay.
I used to get the best peaches actually here. I love peaches. Like the first peach of the season is the best. It's like the one that's like, it's kind of hard, but you can put your thumb in it and you eat it, and it just so much juice, and the juice drips down your arm as you're doing anything. It's just so good. It's like feels good to be sticky. It's like you're a kid again.
There's a bunch of little kids out there right now who are being scarred by all this dripping stuff.
Kids are always sticky. That's why my wife didn't want to have at the beginning. Yeah. But kids are just always sticky. They're always there. You ever see my daughter she's a nanny. And so she's got this little 1.5-year-old or 1 year old or something. And the little kids, when they kiss, they don't know how to kiss. So they kiss like this.
Dan, you got to get more sleep, man, or increase your meds. It's one of the two,
I think
unbelievable.
Well, actually, you know what? This is actually. Let's bring it back to sales because I am Mr. Segway. So here's the thing: during this whole process, what we were doing. Is a challenge for many salespeople, and you do it automatically, Patrick. And that is find commonality with someone. You basically, right now you figure you mentioned Peachtree. Now we talk about that, but it's a quick way, an instantaneous way to build rapport. And you have a unique skill on how you do that. And I wonder if you could share it to Jeff Clays and Garen, because boy, if we know anybody needs help, they do.
Yeah, when you first enter prison, oh, come on, grow up. All right.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison?
No, but I funny story. First time I had to go get a passport, I lived in Oakville, Ontario, but I was working at the Toronto Star, and I just picked up a full page for the Sunday Star from a company called Lansing Bildo. And I couldn't get anybody to sign my passport because I just moved back from Calgary. And
explain what that means. We have people that listen to this show that have never seen a newspaper. So what does that mean? Pick up a page.
In other words, it's the artwork that one uses to replicate for a full page in the newspaper.
Got it.
Very expensive. In my days, the Toronto Star, I think a full page on Saturday was like $40,000. Sunday was a little, it was a few bucks. And you got to remember that was in the early 1980s. So anyway, I got this full page in back of my RX-7, and I thought, I've read, in the rules of the passports admissions that you can actually walk into your local precinct. So I walked into the office and I said to the sergeant on the desk, I said, "Hi, Patrick Tinney, you know, a local guy. Wondering if you sign my passport. Going to go south, going down to Martinique." And he goes, "How do you spell your last name?" I said, Tinney. First name? I said, Patrick. And he said, no. Oh, there you are. And I thought, oh, great. Like he knows that I'm a good citizen, right? And then all of a sudden, this guy comes out, who's got like, tree trunks growing out of his sleeves, and he's standing beside me. And I look at him. I said, "How you doing?" He says, "How you doing?" And anyway, no, he didn't say it that way. He said,
"You should put on your shades."
Yeah, he said, just give me a second. He said, "What program are you with? Are you with the local program or the national program?" Anyway, no, just kidding. No, he looked at me and he says, "Oh, I'm here for you." I said, "You're here for me." Now, what does that mean? He said, "Well, we found you in the database. Before you left Oakville, you had about 6 unpaid parking tickets, and now you've racked those tickets up, and they're worth a couple $100. And he says, "You can't come up with the cash right now." I said, "How about a credit card?" He says, "No, we don't do credit cards." He says, "Cash." And I said, "Oh my God. I get one call, right?" He goes, "Yeah, you get one call." So anyway, I called a friend who was just, kind of getting out of bed. And I said, "Do you have any money?" And she said, "Yeah, I got a big jar of money." I said, "How much is it?" She goes, "I don't know." She said, "Probably close to 250. I said, "Start peeling out 200 if you can." I looked up at the officer. I said, "Okay, so I got the money." He says, "Well, she's going to have to bring it here." With that, you had this rather ferocious coupling of words that end in K and R and G, and they begin with other consonants, and there's a whole lot of other stuff in the middle. And I had to put my hand over the phone. I said, "Excuse me." I said, "She's just releasing a little bit of early morning intentional discussion with herself." Anyway,
so this was more than a friend.
Oh, yeah, she was a friend, colleague.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I said to the officer, I said, "Clearly she's not going to come to see us." I said, "Can we take a ride in my car?" He says, "I'm not going to get in your car." He says, "You're going to get in the back of my car." I said, "Oh, this is nice." And I'm looking at my watch and I'm going, "Oh God, I have like about an hour and a half to make it to the Toronto Star. If I don't get the ad in the system, it doesn't go, right?" So anyway, we go down to the center of Oakville. My friend comes out in her house coat. We pour all these quarters and whatever else in there until we get to $200. Yeah. And we took it back to the station and I cashed out. And then I looked at my watch. Now I'm down to about 45 minutes, but I'm at least, in hard traffic, almost an hour away from the Toronto Star at 1 Yonge Street, at the bottom of Yonge Street. So anyway, the RX-7 with a spring-loaded stick, I peeled out, imagine peeling out of a police station, but I peeled out of a police station, did a bullet to the Toronto Star, walked in, stamped it, punched it in the system. I made it in there like by about 4 minutes. If I would have ended up in the clink, that would have been, wow. A full page not showing up. Ooh.
Wow.
Bad dog.
You see these types of stories that new salespeople, and with the way things go now electronically, that people don't even understand that. What do you mean? Just call it in, send them an email, done.
Right? Yeah.
Send them a PDF. See you later, potato. Done.
Yeah.
Do a DocuSign. Finish.
Yeah. No, that's true.
And so technology has totally transformed the operationals of most businesses, but what hasn't changed is that instant rapport, that connection that you make with people. You hopped in the person's car, you did that whole thing, and that needs to be I'll ask you, you deal with big companies, you deal with multi-billion-dollar companies, and when you do meetings for them and you're helping those salespeople, what special skills do they need that someone else doesn't have?
Well,
to play in that game.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Recently, I was invited to do a presentation for the platform sellers at Microsoft.
Oh, I've heard of them. Microsoft?
Yeah, a little trillion dollar company.
Is it a $1 trillion company?
Well, it's actually more, but
Are
once
you
once you get to a trillion, what does it matter?
Yeah.
You know what a
What's another?
trillion is?
It's bigger than Cardiff.
It's like it takes a long time to get a billion. Well, it takes a long time to get a million, right? And it takes 1,000 million to get a billion. And now
Yeah.
you finally got a billion. It's like you have that much. If you had 1,000 of those billions, that's a trillion. That's an incomprehensible amount of money.
Well, it used to be. Remember Richie Rich when we were little kids? It used to be a
Richie
millionaire,
Rich.
right? And
Richie
I was
Rich.
watching CNBC Fast Money. So I used to, and I'm going back to being a swing trader in the stock market and doing all the other things I do. I know, Dan, that's part of your background as a broker. But I saw Leon Cooperman on there, who used to be the CEO of analytics for Goldman Sachs, and he was defending ADP. It was another big hedge fund going to come in and take a run at ADP and do the right sizing. It's a great company. It's just got a wonderful pedigree. So anyway, Mr. Cooperman comes on for 20 minutes and leaves these New York traders like just dead in their tracks. They can't say a word. They can't fit a word in because he's that good. So anyway, I listen to this and I'm going, man, that is the best defense of a company I've ever seen. So anyway, I look up Leon Cooperman, and turns out he's got his own fund called the Omega Fund, which was in New Jersey and partly in Florida. So I called up and I asked for his personal assistant, and she said, yeah. I said, I just watched Mr. Cooperman on TV on CNBC Fast Money at lunch. And I got to tell you, his defense of ADP was the most, it was unimpeachable. It's the best I've ever seen in my life. And I've been, trading stocks for a long time. And she says, well, we'd be really happy to, to take your name if you would. And I said, sure, it's Patrick Tinney. And she said, do you have a phone number, Mr. Tinney? I said, well, I'm up here in Canada. I said, but yeah, here's my phone number. And what she said, well, Mr. Cooperman would be delighted to know that, you thought his defense of ADP was that good. 20 minutes later, hi, this is Leon Cooperman. How are you, Mr. Tinney? He said, I appreciate that you appreciated my argument there on Scott Wapner's show today. He said, that's really nice of you to call. He says, I don't know what I can do for you, but he says, I just want you to know that I really appreciate you. You have a great day, sir.
And okay, so
He's a billionaire.
what's the takeaway that people need to get from that story?
Well, I think that anybody's approachable. And I think that, we all think that, so for instance, I've run a master class, and Dan, you've seen it. And, one of the comments I think that you made was that, Pat, you're not teaching us how to sell to buyers. You're teaching us how to sell to CEOs. And I think if you approach, somebody of that magnitude and just say, I understand what you're doing, and I just think that work is magnificent, because not everybody really understands what a job you just did there and how much of a pat on the back you give to ADP. And do you think those folks at ADP are not going to appreciate you defending them? Think of all the jobs you just saved. So, I think that's important. The other thing is, I just think that we have to understand that all of us have families, all of us have children. Not all of us have children, but we have, younger folks in our lives.
Most people have seen children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fair.
And we, we've got extended families and all the rest of it. And you know what? Everybody's got challenges. I mean, we've been through a lot in the last couple of years. And by the way, I'm getting so energized by what's coming. There was an announcement today that the banks here in Toronto are starting to go back to their offices. So they'll be filling in. So that means for a lot of us in the sales world, that, rather than doing all of these, these virtual engagements, we're actually going to be going and sitting with people. And for guys like me, that gets even more exciting. So back to Microsoft, I did this presentation for them, and it was a presentation on buyer negotiation strategy, the 10 ugliest ones that you'll find in Unlocking Yes, the revised edition. So there's 25 in the back, and I do a deconstruction of each one. there was agreement with the Microsoft people that they wanted the 10 hardest ones because their people would run into the most difficult. So anyway, part of what had to happen was that each one of these strategies had to have its own slide, which is a lot of work. I cranked out that presentation, which probably would take me under normal circumstances well over a week, maybe 2. I cranked it out in 2 days. And then I found out that I would not have control over my presentation. So it would get voted on, 25 or 30 of these sellers online. Yeah, it would get voted on which one of the strategies.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. I mean, to be perfectly honest, and this is about ageism, at age 55, I couldn't have done that presentation. That's how good it is. And I'm going to start to share it with a few folks. And I think when they see it, it's going to be one of those moments where you go, oh my Lord, I had no idea that that's what this meant. And, it's one of those presentations that I can make in about an hour and a half. What happened with the folks from Microsoft, just back to relating to, larger companies, there was this barrage of questions. Well, why does this happen when this happens? How does this happen? How can any one of our products possibly be seen as anything other than X? We're Microsoft and all the rest of it. And what I tried to point out, and just about every company faces this, there is some part of your business that will be seen by others as a commodity. Now, I'm not sure what part of that business it is, but there's always a corner of it, right? And so people always try and nibble away at the corners of wherever you are. And my commentary is, we're always selling a suite of services. We're always selling an ecosystem. What we do is we present a range of options. The cool thing about Microsoft and the homework that I did, when I go into a company, my workup is pretty deep. So I spent a lot of
almost
time
like this show. I can see how much prep you did for this show.
Very close.
No,
Jim Duffy deserves it.
Yeah, Jim Duffy, man, he's very cool. I watched him on your show.
He's a monster.
Oh, yeah.
1 million cold calls. 1 million cold calls.
You know what I loved about him? So back to your comment about relating to people, Dan, was that he goes into people's bios, any of the white papers that they've written or any of the legal engagements that they've had when he's trying to put legislators together with people who may be involved in other procedures, either in the accounting world or wherever. And what he does is he comes up with a factoid. And he said,
Yes.
Jim, I remember when you litigated X and the outcome was one that was almost on the edge of creating precedent. What a great job.
Yeah, well, it's very similar. Well,
go ahead.
I'll let you go. It's very similar to what you did when you called the billionaire guy who was on TV. You started with a compliment and you reference it to something he had done. And you endear yourself, you ingratiate yourself with people when you let them know that you're thinking about them.
Well, you know what? Here's something really important. Dan, when I first met you, one of the things that I wanted to just sort of pick up the phone and say was what a great job you're doing. Same with you, Chris. I mean, you guys really bring it hard. And when I see great work, I have to compliment it. You see, any of us can criticize. I don't have time.
Yeah.
I don't have time to criticize people. But when I see great work, it must be complimented. It must be.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
I think that's how we met. You said something, and then I called you because, I'm trying to be like Jim Duffy, and I just call everybody who has a number.
There can be only one.
Yeah, and then we did that. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Chris.
No,
Stone.
you know what you get when you bring, and we were talking about Jim Duffy, and the man has a vocabulary that that rivals,
Right.
the most studious of human beings on this earth. But when you say a word like factoid, you know what you get, Patrick? You get this. You get this. When you say factoid, that was the magic word today. Factoid is the magic word.
Well,
but
it's like Centroid. What is a Centroid?
Yes. What is a Centroid?
Yeah,
The Centroid.
I want
a
this thing
Centroid?
right here.
Yes.
This thing right here. And you were talking about this Microsoft presentation. You were talking about unlocking yes, but that reminds me and I looked it up while I was multitasking here, Patrick. I'm sorry. I want to soak up every word, but I had to talk about this. So you got chapter 41 here, effective trial closes.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the round room.
Oh,
And how that
that's
because
beautiful.
That really spoke to me, and that reminded me of that while you were talking about this Microsoft presentation.
So many people make mistakes when they try to close a piece of business. You see, the only way you go to a hard close is if you run out of time or you figure somebody is trying to squeeze you. All right. Otherwise, don't do that. Really, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get somebody involved emotionally. So if I was to say to you, Dan, how would your family feel if they knew that your inclusion of trial closes was probably going to, raise your family income by 8.5%? How would they feel?
Well,
I just asked
Yeah.
for a piece of business.
Yeah.
Because what I asked you to do was to explain to me why a question was important in your life. The round room, by the way, so we were at a dinner party.
I wish I talked to you like an hour and a half ago, because I was working with a guy. I go, dude, you're going to earn an extra 80 grand this year by using this software because of the price automation. I should have said, what would it do to your family if you brought home an extra 80 grand this year?
You walked into the corner.
Yeah. I walked into the corner.
You needed to round the corner.
This is,
yeah,
you're always a day late and $1 short when you need Patrick Tinney every day.
If you practice this, you see. So I use 5 base questions in my programs. All right. So it's the exploration, it's the qualifying question, which is the one that most people want to avoid in sales because they're afraid of getting blown out of a sale. It's a causality question. So you almost asked a hybrid question there, Dan, which is really kind of cool. So a causality question is a little bit more about what it was that you asked, and it was more like, how would you feel 1 month down the road that you could have saved yourself $80,000 by spending just $5,000 this morning?
But that's not as strong for me personally as saying, what would your family, what would your wife say?
I understand.
Yeah, that's much better.
That can be polarizing, though. If someone feels very strongly about their family or has had a recent family situation, that may cause it to go in the wrong direction, right?
And
but you got to take a shot.
And that's why trial closes, I can do like 50 of them in sequence. There's no limit to them. There really isn't. Yeah. When I walked into a car dealership one time, and I was shopping around. I think it was a Subaru dealership. I finally ended up with a Honda, by the way. And I walked into the Subaru dealership, and I said to the guys, when a family comes in, what are you selling? They said cars. I said, no, you're selling safety.
When a family comes in, yeah.
If a mom comes in and she looks like she's got a little baby bump, you're selling safety. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing you do. You say, well, I know we're looking at your car outside. It looks great, but you're already dealing with a future. Why don't we make that future more secure? How would you feel if I put you in this car? First of all, the ride is going to be great. Secondly, you can see the room in the back. That's where the baby chair goes in. And I just want you to visualize how it is that you're going to enjoy riding this, knowing that you have the maximum amount of safety that we can offer here at Subaru.
Well, then how do you deal when she says, actually, I'm not pregnant, I'm just fat?
Wow.
Well, first of all, we are not
that's never happened.
No, we are not fat. We are just fluffy. We're just
Well, no, let me actually ask a real question. So
I used to be fluffy, by the way. Okay.
I'm feeling extra fluffy today. I'm gonna have to put down the fork. But how does one go about finding causality in their line of questioning, right? Because in your mind you want to make that close, right? And you're being told, like, take interest in this person, but the causality is that you're talking about, like going to the family sort of situation. You're talking about safety. Like how does one get to that mindset?
Let me give you, this is a really funny story. So I did 50 book signings. I just threw a number up on the board with the largest bookstore chain in Canada, Chapters and Indigo. And so anyway, I was in Oakville, Ontario, which is it's probably the most affluent city town that we have in Canada. More millionaires per capita than you can shake a stick at. And So anyway, there's this gentleman, and he's standing at the back of the line after I'm signing a bunch of books, and he's looking at me, he's looking at me, he's looking at me. And he says to me, he says, "Why do I need your book?" I said, that's a great question. I said, "What do you do for a living, sir?" He says, "Well, I'm an M&A specialist." I said, "Really?" I said, "And on the legal side, accounting side?" He says, "I work with the team, but he says, I'm on the legal side." I said, "Okay. So what is your net take on a multi-million-dollar deal?" He says, "Well, it might stretch between $50,000 and $75,000. I said, "Net." He says, "Yeah." He says, "Clean. After everything's gone." He says, "That's my take." I said, "That's nice." I said, "You're right. You don't need my book." And he turns to walk away. I just wait until he gets his hand almost on the door. And I say, in a soft voice, I said, "Excuse me, sir. Next time you lose $75,000 over a bad negotiation, remember that you didn't spend $24.99. He spun on his heels, walked back, and he said, "Give me the frickin' book."
Yeah.
Causality.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually a great story.
There's a before and there's an after. But you got to be careful with that question. And you're right, Chris. And here's the reason why. You can't use it over and over again. In other words, it's got to have a certain elegant delivery. It's got to be one of those things where somebody's just about to throw in the towel and you say, "Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out a truth bomb. Here's what you have to think about." All right. And in all truth, this is what happens if you don't do that. So there's a before and after. That's why I can't understand how people can begin a sentence with the word "because." It has to be in the middle. "Because I'm standing here waiting for a bus." Well, no, I'm sorry. The bus will arrive because it's on a schedule.
Now,
Should be in the middle.
is that a Canadian thing that people start sentences with "because"? I haven't heard this before.
You know what? It's just
Because no one here starts a sentence with "because," Dan.
Well, no,
you know-
I mean, you just got to put "it's" in front of it.
Yeah, you could do an "it's."
Yeah,
that would
giving it a reason. Yeah.
Yeah, it would fix it up a bit. There's just some words that don't belong at the beginning of sentences.
All right.
If as you read my books,
Yeah.
I got a whole list of words that I will not put at the beginning of a sentence.
Plasma. I never use plasma in the beginning of a sentence. It just never belongs there.
I used to date a girl with plasma.
And if you don't have the bonus round,
you're bigger than that, Dan. You have to grow up a bit, okay? All right?
I've actually been to bars that it was BYOP. Bring your own plasma. It was look
hey,
at
man,
that.
I've been that close, so don't I shouldn't be here, right?
Actually, bonus round.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm tired of you asking me questions. What are you doing to build your business this year, Dan?
Oh man, I have fallen in love with a good. By the way, great question. And I always appreciate guests that give me the opportunity to talk about myself. By the way, have I shown you the greatest belt ever? I got this new belt. I've had it for a while, but every time I wear it, it's a great. You're able to expand. It doesn't have any holes, and it has this like ratchet thing here, right? And so you can keep put it in, and if you get a little weight on you, you bring it out. It's the greatest thing ever.
You know what? That's a great belt to sell to people who eat a lot of pork and beans.
Yeah, that's right. Well, so what I have done this year in growing the business, and I've refallen in love with the phone.
Yeah.
I just love the phone. And through Jim Duffy, he taught me about this product called Phone Burner, which is the greatest kind of a dialing system I've ever used. And you could knock out, you can knock out 50 dials an hour, 60 dials an hour, and play around, and you're in total control. And I find that, and you talked about having a little age with you. I find that I can relate to everyone now. Where when you're a kid, it's tougher when you're younger to relate to people that are older than you. and you can relate to the people at your age and below. But then when you get, I'm 56, generally everybody I'm talking to is my age, a little older, a little younger, but that we have the same experiences. We have kids, growing up. We had, problems. We had sickness, we had illness, we had death, we had children's problems. I've been to more places. I have more commonalities. And so I generally can relate to anybody on the phone really quickly. And you get to a certain age, you just don't care anymore. So if somebody answers the phone all grumpy, you just say, oh my gosh, let's just take a deep breath together. It's all going to be all right. Or
I love that. That is so disruptive. I love it. I had a customer, the potential customer the other day, they helped me out. And I said, you know what, I'm going to try and help you out. So anyway, I said, I've got this master class. I think it might help you. Here's the description. Have a look at it. He says, well, let us run it by all of the partners here. It's a smaller company, but let me run it by all my partners, which happen to be family members. And he came back to me and he said, well, I talked to a couple of the other family members and they said, we don't need it. I said, thank you. And he said, I said, I love a great no. If we didn't have no's, our lives would be boring. I'd be an order taker. And so what I was trying to say to him was, if your business is running so smoothly, then what could you do if you just kind of, expanded a bit? Now, one of the problems that they have is, and I think there's a lot of companies that are having it right now, and it's product through the system, because the system has gotten a little bit, it's got a few clogged arteries right now. And so they're having to be careful about how they expand. Once they mentioned that to me, I went, got it. So you'll come back to me when you're ready. But the thing is, to your point, Dan, be disruptive. And, I just think it's so funny when somebody says, blah, blah, blah. Well, is that the best you got?
Well, when I used to walk into places and still do now, I walk in, with my card and stuff. Hey, I'm one of those salesman type characters. Don't I look it? And they all smile and laugh, and then I got them. If you can make them smile, you can make them buy. I'll even do stuff on the phone. I'll talk to someone who answers the phone, and they're just about to send me off, and I'll say, hold on, before you send me off, I got to let you know, you've got, this just happened the other day, so I'll use this as an example. She had a very Southern accent, and so she was about to send me off, and I said, hold on, before we go, I just want to let you know something. I just love your voice. I said, I married a girl because of your voice. You would have thought, I made her day. She goes, oh, that was so nice. She goes, I'm worried. I'm always trying. And so we stayed on the phone for a little while, and then, she was just going to send me off, and she goes, he might be on the phone right now. Leave a message. I'll tell him to call you back, but let me give you his email also.
Yeah, perfect. And I think it's so cool. Another great question when you run into one of those situations is, does he take half-hour or 1 hour meetings? And generally, when do those meetings end? It's not that you want a meeting. You want to know when he's just about to get off the phone. And you want to be right there like a bullet.
Very sneaky. Yeah.
Well, I wish I could say it was me. It wasn't. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. And it's Mark Hunter. I think he's one of the premier guys for guys and gals.
Shout out to Mark Hunter. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love him. Yeah. He just understands the whole psychology of getting to important people.
Yeah, he's an exceptionally nice man. Yeah, and he has his feet are like 2 feet long. They're like the canoes.
Yeah. I wonder how he gets his pants on. But anyway, he's probably got zippers. I was trying to get a hold of one of the largest consultancy firms here in Canada, and I was looking, and I found a back channel where I got this guy's phone number, the CEO. I called up and I said, hey, Eli, how you doing? And he goes, how the hell did you get my phone number? And by the way, you've got 10 minutes. What's it about? And I started to laugh, and I said, I can't tell you how I got the phone number, but here's kind of what I'm thinking. You know what it is it opened up a dialogue so that now I just kind of, I do this thing when I either haven't got a customer that I want or I've lost a customer. All right. And here's what it is. Sometimes I will ask a customer, can I just run beside you? And they say, well, what the hell does that mean? I said, I'm glad you asked.
Mm.
It's just that what I'd like to do is I'd like to drop you a note, a piece of research, a little bit of an advance in the marketplace, something in your vertical that'll add value to your business. That's it. And then, they remember you. They remember you.
Yeah, that's
And
key. That's
yeah.
key. Just, it's I learned this from Gittimer one time. He said, listen, you don't have to be the best. You just have to be memorable. Be memorable. Don't worry about
Yes.
your tactics and all. Be memorable. And if you call them back and they know who you are, you've got an edge. All of a sudden, you're right there. Hey,
I
see
hate
that
to keep going
book.
back to cliches, but know, like,
Oh.
and trust, right? And I know, Dan, you have a different variation on it, but if they don't know who you are,
Yeah.
if you're not memorable and they
Whoa.
can't find you and you don't stick in their head, you're not even getting to that like stage, right?
You know what? So I backed into it. So during the pandemic, I either gave my time away because I wanted to reach out to moms and single moms with children because they were going to take it the hardest. And I was doing this Crazy Pat thing on LinkedIn. You guys probably saw it every once in a while. Hi, it's Crazy Pat. I'm here for half an hour, right? Or sometimes I would just call people up. I'd say, hi, it's Pat Tinney. How's your day going? Give me your 2 toughest problems. Let's solve them today. So I was kind of having fun, right? And I just, and again, just, I wanted to, because when the pandemic started, I remember my colleagues from across North America going, I just lost $400,000. I just lost $500,000 because it was like, right? It was like that big bang noise and then the swirling and then the water goes away. In Australia, the swirl goes the other way. So anyway, I started getting calls from people. The first one was from Milan Topalovic, and Milan used to play professional football here in Canada. He reminds me every once in a while that his high school beat my high school in the semifinals of the city championships, and he brings it up every once in a while, just like a dagger. But he called me this one day, and he says, Pat, he says, I got this lady calling me from Europe or DMing me, and she says, I just looked at your LinkedIn profile, and she said, it's not good enough for you, Milan. He said, what should I do? And I said, well, how much does she want? He said, well, she wants $1,500. I said, tell you what, ship me half of that. And I said, I'll have it fixed in 2 days. Well, that word got out. And then I got a call from another one. Then I got a call from another one. Then I got a call. So, it's like, you never know when you got something that is something you would say it's an irritant, and then suddenly it becomes another little revenue stream. See, I'm all about revenue streams. Never have one. The worst thing that can ever happen to you is that you're a cheese company and the largest pizza company in the world decides they want to do business with you. You're dead.
Yep.
You become an instant commodity. So it's like having at least 5 good revenue streams that you can tumble with. And for a lot going through the pandemic, it wasn't, there was extreme winners, there was extreme losers, and then there were survivors. And that's where I placed myself. I just thought, you know what? Don't waste a good pandemic. Write a 3rd book. Don't waste a good pandemic. Make sure you launch your masterclass. Don't waste a pandemic. Start to move more into coaching. Don't waste a pandemic. Help more people write books. Don't waste a pandemic. And I can go on and on. So I never stopped moving. I just didn't stop moving. And throughout the pandemic, and my belief is that when things get really, really bad, do what Deej does. Stay busy. Deej, I got to tell you, when the pandemic started, you said, hey, there's nobody here in the office, but you know what? That's good for me because now I got the whole place. And you walk around and do camera shots and all the rest of it. What you were saying to all of us was, have hope. I have hope. And
that's awfully sweet of you.
Well, you know what, man? I got to tell you, I call them the way I see them. 2 years later, and we've been listening to you on your balcony, 5 o'clock in the morning. You have your rants. You have your, you have those
sales energizer tip of the day.
I got to tell you, man, you're doing plasma shooters. I mean, it's just like,
plasma shooters.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it's like the pig through the python. You're coming out.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful. I want to know something.
Way, I got to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
What goes moof, moof, barf, barf? Up
Wait
here
a minute. Say that again.
Moof, moof, barf, barf. Yeah, it's a buck-toothed cow being chased by a hair-lipped dog. And I want to tell you, up here in Canada, that's very funny. Stop it. Grow up. You guys are better than that. You got peaches. You got all the peaches you want drooling down your face, Dan.
That's a way homer. That's what we call a way homer. I'm going to get that. It's going to come to me on the way home.
Oh my God.
So Patrick, how on earth did you survive with a rotary engine in Toronto, Canada, and made it through a February with a Mazda RX-7? And then you went to a Honda. So clearly, U.S. Vehicles, and
I got some bad stories about the RX-7, man.
With a stick, and that's rear-wheel drive.
Yeah. So doesn't work in the winter. So here's a funny story. So I was the first guy that Toys R Us called when they came to Canada. I was at the Toronto Star. Hi, this is Toys R Us, and we're coming to Canada. We're bringing Mr. T with us, and
Jeffrey the giraffe.
Yeah, the Black Knight, the
Black Knight,
Knight Rider.
Knight Rider, yeah.
David Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff, the Hoff.
Oh, no way.
Well, you know what? They did store openings, and they always brought these, really big personalities that the kids would like.
You got excited by David Hasselhoff and not Mr. T.
No,
Mr. T, I was very excited. I was just excited that I guessed David Hasselhoff from Black Knight, which was actually Knight Rider.
Yeah.
I felt like I should win something.
A stream of consciousness. Give yourself some confetti.
You won another 5 minutes with the Deej. Yeah, there you go. So anyway, we've got this wonderfully beautiful, tall marketing and advertising manager at Toys R Us Canada. She knows I drive an RX-7. So it's December, and I know I can't drive the RX-7 in the winter. It's got no back end weight. So I went out and I bought a 72 Chevy Nova, and apparently somebody had driven their head into the dashboard. So what they did was they recovered the dashboard with Levi jeans, and you could see all the studs and all the rest of it. And so I named the car Levi, right? So anyway, and it was rusting, and it didn't look good, and the paint was faded. And her name was Sarah Petrie, and I could just see her coming down with her big fur coat on, right? She got this big, huge fur coat on, which we do wear up here in Canada with pride sometimes. Anyway, she walks out the front door, and you can just see her eyes going, "Oh my God, what is that thing?" And I get out the other side and go, "Hi," and she goes, "Oh. All right, where are we going for lunch?" Then she gets inside and she sees Levi, right? Oh man.
Now, what color? They came in several colors. They had like this kind of orangey thing, or they had a blue one.
The blue. I had the blue.
Yeah.
It was kind of it was a metallic blue.
I used to those two cars, the Mazda RX-7 and the Triumph TR7. That was the
I love that. See, I never driven stick in my life, and I had a Saab, which was a story, and it broke down, and I did a coin toss at a dealership, and I said, "Heads, we fix it; tails, we don't." And the coin went between my hands, and it's rolling end over end over end over end over, and it disappeared underneath a radiator. And I looked at the guy, and I said, "The coin is trying to tell us we're leaving the car here." So anyway, I left the car there. We pushed it across the road to the Mazda dealership, and I said, "What will you give me for this thing?" And which it was a sob story. And
did you get a sob?
What?
Got an
Bum. Come on.
Bum.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I didn't sob. So anyway, I said, "Well, you give me more." And so anyway, we meet. Sorry for saying what. That was so rude. So anyway, I said, "What do you got in the lot that's under 10 grand?" He says, "We just had an RX-7 come back in. It's got a few miles on it, but he says, it's like, second generation." He says, "A great car, black on black." He said, "You're going to love it." I said, "Great." I said, "It's automatic, right?" And he goes, "No, it's standard, sir." I went, "Oh, well, I'll take it." And I said, "I don't know how to drive standard." Oh, he says, "It's really easy. Just press the clutch in and you do this." Well, what he didn't tell me was, those early cars, the stick shift was only that long, right?
Right.
Yep.
And when you're shifting from first to second to third, it's like, it's like you got splintering by cuspids. I mean, your teeth are all cracking in your head because you're being jolted so hard. So I got it down the street to where I live. And then I realized the next morning I had to wake up and get on the QEW highway, which is one of the most vicious highways heading east to west. It's just a little bit worse than the 401 in rush hour traffic in the morning. And I didn't know how to drive a standard. Holy smokes. I mean, I got to tell you, it's my neck. It's just like,
yeah, that's one of those things. I got to drive Cheryl Blousechild home from a party because her boyfriend was drunk and nobody else could drive a stick, and he was passed out. And so all that worked. So you could, again, more experience as a salesperson. You need little stupid skills, a lot of them, and then it just endears you to more people. That's the whole idea. Patrick Tinney. So, bonus round. What new books you got coming out?
Well, I'm about halfway through a fourth book. Actually, I just contributed to a fourth book out of the UK by Jim Irving, and it's one on sales tips. It's a great book, and I tell a crazy story at the back, but I can't really give it away. But it has to do with a very unusual form of collection of debt. I'll just say that. In the sales business, because when you're selling on commission, which is what I did for most of the early part of my life, if the bills didn't get paid, then your commission got clawed back.
Right.
Yes,
which is
sir.
Terrible.
Yes, sir. And then I had a magazine go bankrupt on me in Hamilton, and I owed everybody money. I had like a commission check of like somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 come in. My draw was only $100 a week. And so I just borrowed money from everybody in Hamilton that I could, right? And then the day before the magazine, it was called Bay City Magazine, it was about to be released, they decided that they looked at the futures, and I had like $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 worth of sales on a little magazine, and they just decided they couldn't make it. Boom.
Yeah, and then they claw back your commission, which, companies actually kind of lose a lot of salespeople over there. They just won't pay it back, and they just quit.
Well, you know what? If you fear being on commission, go bake cookies.
Go
That's
bake
what
cookies.
You're going to be good at.
Yeah,
Go bake cookies. That's what you're going to be good at. I got to tell
What
you.
is that?
Oh,
I'm sorry,
bake cookies.
Go bake
go
cookies.
bake.
Go make-
I thought you were telling me go big
You don't-
cookies.
you don't want to be out in the street with real people walking into real stores saying, "Hi, I'm with the South Edmonton Times. Look at my little tiny newspaper and buy. I'm going to change your life. Look at what we do. Do you realize who we are?" And the person looked back at me. I haven't got a clue who you are, but you're going to know in a minute.
So
if you'll give me a minute.
So you're a big proponent of commission sales.
You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid of it. Here's what I'm a big proponent of.
Mm-hmm.
Find a great company to work for and dedicate yourself in a way that they've never dreamed of. And by the way, push the limits of what is cool. And by that, I mean, try to figure out how your company works, the products that work within them. Can you resize those products? Can you create new products? If you remember in the bonus round, when I created Print, Plan, and Distribute, it was one of the last products I created for the company, and it was $1 million unbudgeted. That's what got me my $44,000 bonus at the end of the year. They couldn't give it to me. I had a markup of over 50% on it. So it's $500,000 clean. And it was just a little crazy idea I had sitting in the corner. So one of the things I want to leave with all the folks that are joining us here today, always have a crazy project going in the corner. I got a couple of new ideas that I'm working on right now, and I just think we're coming to an area of inflation, and there's a lot of people who have never seen inflation. So thanks, Jeff. Love you, brother. If you've never seen inflation, then you've got no idea what's coming at you, and it's a freight train. But here is the but. I don't like the word but here's the but. I'm going to insert one. The thing is, you have to learn how to deliver the news that your product is going to increase in price in a way that doesn't destroy the relationship. And I've got a number of techniques that I use around that. I do a lot with cost modeling. I do a lot with, preparing. I do a lot with, there's a lot of things that go into this. But you see, we've been in almost a deflationary market, what I call, a buyer's market where you have low interest rates for such a long time now that nobody knows how to present the big increase. And in the newspaper business, we got to the point where yearly, if you can believe it, we were delivering 10 to 15% rate increases.
Yeah, well, so what it is salespeople are afraid to charge more because their retailers or whoever they're selling to, they're afraid to charge more because they don't want to, they think that they're going to lose from their customers too. So how do you do that? How do you convince or persuade an end user that it might be in their best interest
to come? Yeah.
That's a tease.
You know what? I'm putting something together. I'm going to show people how to do it elegantly. And if you haven't been at the table in those types of situations, it can be really disheartening. If you've never actually delivered a real rate increase before, you have to kind of get ready for some pushback. And there is going to be pushback. There's going to be people that are going to be questioning your core values. They're going to be questioning, the efficacy of what it is you do, the relevance. One of the most important things in business is to be relevant. The two hard questions I used to ask myself every day before I put my hand on the front door of Southam, Hollinger, and CanWest, and I was the Iron Man in sales and management there, 22 consecutive years. My deal book for that company was somewhere around 350 to $400 million. It's around 350. And before I put my hand on the door every day, I asked myself two really hard questions. And again, it was in the bonus round. I said, are you relevant? Tough question. Do you add value every day? Tough question. If I couldn't give it a resounding yes to both questions, my promise to myself was I would turn around and go home. And I explained that to somebody at a book signing, and they went, man, that is cold. I said, I'm sorry, life's not fair. It's just not fair. It's hard. If you want to play in the big leagues, if you want to swing with the bigs, you have to be prepared to take what's coming at you. You got to work harder. You have to think in front of everybody else. You have to get into a situation where what I like to say to people is become a specialized generalist. So in my particular case, it was things like production. So when all of my colleagues were out, studying marketing and all the rest of it, I went and said, all right, so we got these gigantic machines that are the size of, aircraft carriers. How the hell, what's under the hood? How do they work? And so I was the first sales guy in Canada to get the certified print and production certification. And I can remember my boss calling me and saying, what the hell are you doing, Tinney? Like, are you leaving us to go join a printing company? And I went, no. And he goes, well, why are you getting this certification in production? We got the production guys upstairs. And I said, yeah. He said, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time like this? I said, well, let me ask you a question. When something goes wrong, what do you do? He says, I call the professionals upstairs. He says, we've got the brightest guys in the world. We've got the best guys in Canada. I said, oh, really? I said, they also happen to be union guys. They also happen to be people who, kind of have higher self-interest. By the way, we were union in the sales department. Just so you know, the whole building was union. And so anyway, I just said to him, I said, do you actually believe the answers that are coming back down to you? Do you actually believe what they're telling you? Do you actually believe they're not covering themselves upstairs? Yeah. And then they send you out with some, with some answer that, most people don't understand at the customer level unless they're actually printers. And I said, think about that. And then I got up and I walked out. I just dropped a grenade in his lap and walked out.
I love that because it's like, not only you knowing more about the business, but you're able to you can utilize that in sales because you never know when you need to know that stuff. It's one thing to be a manager and defer and delegate to people that are the experts. But if you don't know enough to be dangerous about what they're doing and be able to look at it and how to make things better, you're missing out. And when the guys in production are gone, what are you going to do? right?
That's right. And see, that's what gave me the ability to take a product like Print, Plan, and Distribute. We were arguably one of the top 3 printers in Canada. And I actually said to my guys, I said, I'm sorry, I can't use any of your equipment. So I'm going to go outside of the company, and I'm going to create a model using 8.5 by 11 folded pieces of paper that'll run through an inserting machine at 20,000 pieces an hour that don't become confetti, hit confetti. That don't become confetti.
Oh God, you do not have to ask twice, my friend.
There you go. You see, this is what happens when you get the paper wrong down in the printing room.
Yeah.
And so I ran like almost 6 months of beta tests, and then I got the models together. I actually asked printers in some cases to raise their rates. There's a guy by the name of Drew Harris. Have you ever talked to Drew Harris? He sits there and you can see these little crystals in his eyes, and then suddenly they run down the side of his face. The first deal was so big, it was 6 million homes in Canada. So that would be more than half of the homes in Canada we delivered a piece to without one complaint. We needed so much paper that we had transport trucks wrapped around a city block to get in to drop the paper off. And he was printing 24 hours a day.
That's awesome. But unlike you, I am going to get complaints because I realized just now that today's my anniversary and I have to figure something out. I can't hang around.
You're married.
Yeah.
You just realized that today.
Oh boy, you admitted it?
The love of your life.
I was looking at the time, and then I'm looking at this. February. Anyhow, this is awesome, Patrick Tinney. Thank you so much. I mean, you
are so much money, Pat.
When you come on the show, I just want to listen more than I talk, which is unusual because you have great wisdom. But I think the best thing you said, and I'll paraphrase, but everyone, if you want to hang with the big dogs, you got to stop pissing like a puppy. All right. Well, Chris Stone, once again, great job. You're awesome. Way to put this all together. Patrick Tinney, last minute, coming in charge. How does somebody get a hold of you?
You know what? LinkedIn, Patrick Tinney, pump Patrick Tinney, sales author into any search engine and just watch the lights come on. Go to my website, Centroid Marketing, buy a book, go up onto Amazon. I'm getting very close to 100 reviews across my 3 books on Amazon alone.
I made you a video on Amazon.
Yes, you did.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, you did. And just remember, it takes a mighty big dog to weigh a ton.
You guys are awesome. I'm the Deej. Stick around for a minute, Patrick Tinney, and you guys go get them today.
All right.
Get them.
Rock and roll.